If you've ever damaged an electric wire like this outside your house, you might think you have one of the worst situations. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to repair damage like this in a way that's so easy you won't believe how simple it is. The biggest mistake that most homeowners make is they use the wrong material to do this fix. You can't use wire nuts, not even my Wagos connectors that I love, and you don't want to use electric tape. These are wires that are buried underground, and it needs to be a totally waterproof solution. This is an underground splicing kit. This one costs under 20 bucks, and they give you everything you need in this one package. The secret that makes this kit work so well is this tube. This is heat shrink tubing, but it's super thick, and inside is a special type of glue or adhesive that'll melt under heat, and that's going to seal the entire connection up. See, that cross in the middle is going to keep the connectors safely apart so that nothing will ever short out. The kit I'm showing you here is to repair underground wiring damage, things like outdoor outlets, lights, or even pool pumps, and by code you can't use these anywhere inside a home. Be certain the electricity is off before beginning any work. If you have any doubts, don't do this job at all and call in a pro. And even if you've only got one damaged conductor in your wire, I recommend cutting both ends cleanly if you've got enough slack to work to make the repair. Then slide the included tube down one end of the wire. You can push it out of the way so you have plenty of room to work. Now you need to remove some insulation off each end of the electrical wire. You want to do it in a way that you're not going to nick any of the conductors underneath, so take your time. You could use a razor blade, or if you've got a type of wire stripper, you can use that as well. I didn't strip back enough of the insulation, so I went ahead and cut some more off until I got the full 2 inches. Next you'll want to fan out those wires a bit, and if you've got any of that paper insulation, just go ahead and tear it off to remove it. Now we need to strip off some insulation from the wires. This particular kit says to remove 5/8 of an inch. Now the copper has no insulation, so you don't need to do anything to that at all. Now grab that connector block they include with the kit, and you're going to need to loosen up each one of these screws. But don't go too far because they can actually fall out. Loosen them up just enough so that each wire can slide in freely. Next, I find it's easiest to work on one end of the cable at a time, but you do want to insert all 4 wires at once. Doesn't matter what position in the connector they go in, and make sure that you're only inserting the copper wire into the tube. You don't want any of that insulation going in there because that could interfere with the connection. And now with all the 4 wires in place, you just need to tighten each one of the screws down on the side that you're working. The directions do give you a torque specification, but most people aren't going to have a tool like that, so tighten each one of these screws as much as possible. And make sure if you've got any insulation like this sticking up, that you fold it back in place or just cut it off to remove it. Now we just need to connect the other side of the cable, and the only thing you need to remember is make sure that you're matching up the colors so that each one is going into the same brass tube. And now you can tighten up the 4 screws at the end of the wire you just worked on. But take a second to look at the entire repair, and I recommend checking each one of those screws again. Give the wire a tug to make sure that everything's secure. And with everything looking good, all we need to do is seal up this repair so that it's completely waterproof and we can rebury it. Slide that tube over the repaired area, and you want to make sure that you're centering the tube over the repair. Now this piece of tubing is about 6 inches long, so I went ahead and marked the cable, and now I just need to slide the tube in between the marks, and I know it's perfectly centered. Now we just need to seal up that repair, and you can do it 2 different ways. You can either use a heat gun or a blowtorch. So I started with my heat gun, and the repair was shrinking up, but it was going really slow. And if you're working outside in the cold, I'm not really sure you could actually get it done that way. So once I switched over to my blowtorch, things went a lot quicker. And your goal here is to completely shrink the tubing down. But if you look closely at the ends, you're going to see some stuff oozing out. That's the adhesive that's inside the tubing, and make sure you're heating up all areas of the tube. You're going to have to move that torch around to get underneath and around it. Here we've got our completed repair, and this thing came out awesome. This tubing is rock solid, and once that adhesive sets up, it's totally waterproof, and you're not going to have any problems with this connection in the future. And if you really wanted to, you could put some electrical tape on top of this, but there's really no need for it because it is totally sealed on its own. And I wanted to see what the repair looked like inside, so I decided to cut it open, and this stuff is tough. I really had to push my razor blade through it. I could see that that glue did exactly what it was designed for. It flowed through the repair and completely sealed it from any type of water or outside elements. But what if you've got a damaged wire and you don't have any slack to work, or the damage extends way beyond just a couple of inches? Well, fortunately the fix is almost just as easy. Start by cutting out the damaged section of cable completely, then replace it with a section of good electrical wire, and you'll use 2 kits, one to fix each end of the new wire to the existing wire, and your repair will be done. And then finally, you can turn the power back on and make sure that the repaired section is working the way it should. And keep in mind that electrical work is not for everyone. It always carries a risk of injury or even death. So if you're concerned in any way, use this video as a guide and hire a professional to help you do the repair. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already for more videos coming up.